Okay, disclaimer. I just saw this, and so I am going to be winging it, and we'll just be looking. But I mean, how could I overlook this? How could I pass this up to see if we can figure out exactly what she's asking? I'm about to marry a Middle Eastern prince. My life has pretty much changed overnight. What is going on? What indeed? So what indeed is going on in this chart? I don't know, but we'll see. Well, first of all, we see that Venus is in her detriment in the eighth house, right? She's in the detriment in the eighth, but she's also in what? The exaltation of the sun. And of course, when we're looking at royalty, we're always looking at the sun. We're always looking kind of at slash for the sun. So there's an instance, right? And that's also an instance of things that are kind of bright and shiny, or that might be a little bit too hot to, getting too hot, too close to a stove or whatever, because we're talking about the hot and the dry. So that's the first thing, good old Miss Venus. And then we're also talking about Venus in the eighth house, which is the other person's money, right? Which is the husband's money, or the husband's substance, right? Because the second house is the house of substance and the eighth is the second from the seventh. The seventh house would be the husband. Okay, so let's just kind of plot it all out here. So first of all, Virgo is rising, which also is interesting because Virgo is the fall of Venus, right? So we had Venus in detriment, right? We've got Venus in detriment, and then we've got her fall ascending. So I'm wondering, I mean, I'm not going to make any assumptions, but it makes me wonder. Let's just say questions come up, and makes me. Well, never mind. I'm not going to go there. Anyway, so what's next? Mercury is in Gemini, so this person is probably charming and social, and I mean, well, at least one would think, mostly because why? Mercury rules the tongue, and the hands. They might be good at writer as well. Also, it's with Jupiter, so maybe also a thinker, a philosophical type thinker. Mercury, Jupiter has a tendency to do that. Jupiter expands the thinking. As a matter of fact, it can make the person. I have Jupiter, Mercury, Jupiter rather. It makes the person somewhat forgetful, or can. But then notice also how the sun, right? Sun is always that king and prince and royalty is there with it. Jupiter is the ruler of the seventh. Mercury is the ruler of the first in the tenth, ruling the tenth. So Mercury is the ruler of the 10th and the 10th. Notice also that now Moon is in Cancer in her own sign in the 10th, ruling the 11th, right? So we know that 11th is called Good Spirit and excuse me, is called Good Spirit and is one of the best known is one of the best known houses. The 11th is one of the best houses. And the seventh house, of course, is the house of women, it's so, or not the seventh house is not is known as the house of women, but the moon. That's because most of the previous clients in the way past, like before the 19th century, were men, and so the man was the ascendant. The man who was the client was the ascendant, and the seventh would be his wife. Um, but and of course it's the opposite. If this is more than likely, this is very more than likely a woman. It doesn't have to be, but so this could be a woman as the ruler of the ascendant. I digress. Anyway, so Mercury, ruler of the tenth, is in the tenth and ruler of the first, with Jupiter, who is the major benefic, though he's detrimented. He's actually being received by Mercury himself. The moon is the ruler of the 11th. She's in her own sign of the 11th. So these are both houses that can bring renown and fortune, or bring us into a circle of renown and circle of fortune. Right. Note also that Jupiter is the exaltation ruler of the 11th house. So Moon as the ruler of the 11th is in her own sign. Jupiter is in the sign of the ruler of the 10th, but he's ruler of the 11th and 7th by exaltation, the 11th, right? He's the ruler of what by he's the ruler of what the fourth. By I wonder if they're going to get a home or get some property, or if he's got lots of property that she's going to be involved in, or maybe she's involved with property herself, right? So or he, I didn't actually look to see. And actually look to see like what kind of gender orientation the person had. I just saw the title and was like, I gotta look at this fucking chart, and thought you all might like seeing me do it, like doing it together with me. Note that interesting. And I'm like I said, I'm just looking at it. Ooh, note this Mercury Mars opposition. Okay, some of my assumptions have been confirmed. Well, honey, you got him. You got him, and you got what you wanted. I think that you got what you wanted, and you may have played it a little naughty to get it. Mercury Mars, as we know, is called the highwayman, is the crook, is can go to criminality. It can at the very least be telling very advantageous fibs. So I think we might have, I'm going to say it, and the sun is there, and I don't think this is an accident, sweetie, that you found a man at this particular level. And congratulations. So what is going on? Well, that's the first thing that's going on, is that this is no mistake, and congratulations, girlfriend, you got your shit wet. Secondly, let's look at see if we can actually kind of see this husband royalty. I mean, the sun is hovering around all this stuff, and that's a symbol of royalty. And then the ruler of the 10th, right? Because the 10th is king and kingdom and all of that stuff, right? And so that's another thing, right? Whenever we're looking for parts of kingdom, or lots of kingdom, or even the triplicity rulers of kingdom, we're looking at the 10th house. So here is, Mercury, he's not exalted, right, in his own sign and exaltation of Virgo, which is also called kingdom. Another word for exaltation is kingdom. That's an older term that was used, and we don't have anything exalted in this chart. But so what I think is that this is a person with a lot of drive, who has gotten the thing that they want, and now we're going to look for the husband. I'm thinking maybe the husband is quite learned, right? Because the ruler of the seventh is in Gemini, Jupiter is in Gemini with Mercury. He may even work in. He might be a journalist. I mean, he's a prince, but he might also do other stuff. He might be a lawyer or a journalist or some kind of Mercury type trait, a writer even, he might even have written novels or books. He might be a diplomat, or someone, no, diplomat, some not so much. He may even be like, his family might be quite religious. There might be a religious aspect to it, that he might know scriptures well and that kind of thing, because Jupiter has a tendency to be involved in things that are more, not just philosophical, but can get more into the spiritual realm, into the realm of scripture, and the sun is there too. I see the Saturn there. I haven't said anything about it yet. So that's giving us our first idea. But secondly, we can look at kind of another. Oh, wait, shall we look at the part of marriage to see what we're going to do? So to see what else might be. Now, this won't tell us so much about the husband specifically, but it can tell us a bit about the marriage, it seems. We're going to use Moon to Mars. So Moon is 9 Cancer. Mars is 28. So 10 Cancer to 28, to 28 Sagittarius. That's 150 degrees plus 8, plus what? 18? Yeah, 120, 150 degrees plus 18. And now we use that exact amount of space, or angle, and we take that from the projected from the ascendant. So what I just did was I looked to see how much space there was between, or how far the angle, or how wide the angle was between the moon and Mars, and in order to find this distance, right? And so we're going to do the same thing. So 150 degrees from 25 Virgo is 150, 25 degrees of Aquarius. And so then we're going to go 18 forward. What is that going to take us? Plus 10 is to 20, is to 5, plus 8 is the 13. Okay, 13 Pisces. So not only is the ruler of the seventh Jupiter, but the ruler of the marriage, the ruler of the lot of marriage, is also Jupiter, and it's in Pisces. And also this vertex thing. I mean, that's funny. I never used the vertex before, but they talk about that. So it looks like Jupiter. Now remember, Jupiter is also benefic, and Jupiter is the natural significator for wealth. But note here that well, note two things. Note here that Jupiter is in Gemini, and that if we're looking at the person's, at the husband's money, the Mars here is retrograde, and it's in a sign that is of the same nature, right? Because Mars is hot and dry, and so is Sagittarius. But basically, Mars is peregrine in this, unless that's his term. So, and then also note that the Mercury is opposed to the Mars. So there might be a very strict prenup where the person, the native is not able to get connected to any of the assets of theirs. And what I'm also saying is, I wonder if the assets, if it's a, there are lots of princes and kings and queens and royalty in the world who are dead fucking broke. And I don't necessarily think that's the case, but it does look like there may be more of a complication than that. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to send this to the person, because I'm just being a little bit more frank than I necessarily need to. But it's this Mercury Mars. This person knows. This person knows what I'm talking about. And like I said, I think there's an ironclad prenup that's going to happen. That's because, right, if the Mercury Mars is also a, that means that the person is opposing the ruler of the eighth, which is the prince's money and assets and everything else. Right. And also now that Venus, see, this is what I don't, I don't want to say gold digger, but I'm saying, I'm gonna say it, gold digger. And magic wedding fantasist. So that is, yes, I don't think I am gonna send this to her. I'm just gonna do this. Um Yeah. Oh wait, so what else I wanted to do? Oh, I wanted to do triplicity rulers. So it's daytime. So that Venus is the ruler of the so the first triplicity ruler represents of the I'm sorry, the first triplicity ruler. I'm all fucking high and not even, paying attention. I just, like I said, I just saw this and just couldn't pass it up. So I'm sorry. But so y'all know about triplicity rulers, right? If you're on the channel, you know what I'm talking about. It's daytime. That means that, and it's water. So that means that Venus and Mars and the moon are the triplicity rulers. And so the first triplicity ruler of the seventh house represents the marriage. The second represents the contentions, and the third represents the partnerships. I think I'm right about that. I'm not looking at anything. Like I said, I'm totally just fucking winging it because I'm loving the questions so much. Yeah, I think I am going to send this to her, and she can just cuss me out, well, all she wants, because, but we know, honey, we know. Anyway, so note that that's the triplicity ruler of the seventh house, right? So it's in detriment. The other thing about, I'm going to say, because I am going to send it to you. The other thing I'm going to say is there's another issue with Mercury Mars, and it's harsh speech. It's harsh speech. It's abusive talk. I mean, it can be. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just giving all the possible permutations, because the Mercury Mars is really, because Mercury's a trickster. Mercury can be anything. This is the important thing. Mercury can be anything. Mercury is hermaphrodite. Mercury is male with male planets. Mercury is female with female planets. So this would say to me, and then also Mercury, as I mentioned, rules the tongue, rules rules the voice, rules the hands. So speech, if somebody's going to ask me speech, what's going on with this person's speech, I'd say probably there's a lot of it because of Jupiter, and then it can be harsh, or it can be aggressive, or it can be assertive, right? Or it can be great at debate. Like this, I can imagine this person would be a fantastic debater. Um, but with the Venus in Aries in detriment, with Virgo on the ascendant, with this Mercury Mars, what I'm going to say is that I congratulate you for hooking this man, this big fish. With this chart, keeping the fish is going to be, in my opinion, more difficult. And you know what? In the comments section, tell me whether or not I should send this to them.